Tasha Delay, everybody. Welcome. This is the beginning of the teachings on the Lam Rim, which could take 3 countless eons to finish, and then we'll all be enlightened. I think we start with praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. That feels appropriate. Fiona is scrolling. Yeah, she has scrolled. So we're thinking about praising, giving respect to Shakyamuni Buddha's qualities, because we want to develop those qualities, that we have the seed, the potential there, but we haven't actualized the potential. So we're saying to Shakyamuni Buddha, you've actualized the potential, so you lift me up, you elevate me, you inspire me to do the same thing. So then the first paragraph we recite 3 times. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, forms supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3, ever devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as, all realms atoms, in all aspects, with supreme faith, I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Then we go to page 6. The refuge prayer, twice in English. Sangye chudan soki choknam la jancho badu dagni kapsuchi dagi jinso gipe sonam ki drola panchir sangye drapar shog Sangye chodan soki chognam la. Jancho badu jakni kyapsu chi. Dagi jinso gipe sonam ki. Drola panchir sangye drapar shok. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the accumulation of merits of practicing generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings never be separated from the happiness which is without suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from both attachment and hatred, holding some close and others distant. 7 Limb Prayer. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. I present every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of cyclic existence, and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of others to the great enlightenment. Mandala. Saji Puki Jog Shing Metok Lamrim Ling Shi Ni De Gen Padi Sangye Jing Du Mik Te Uwa Gidro Konam Dag Jing La Chu Parshok Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. We'll recite 7 Shakyamuni Buddha mantra. Taya ta om muni muni maha munaye soha. 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 We need a good action in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end. So motivation is very important. So many motivations, countless motivations. But actually the best, what fulfills the wishes of others and fulfills your wishes, is bodhicitta. You recognize their suffering. You recognize your own suffering. But you're only one, they're many. Lillian, looks like you're sitting in the dark. Do you need a light? Do you want to put that light on? This one? Do you want this one? That's not much. Well, you put this one on. You can put it on just here. Poor Lillian. She was sitting in the dark. Like a waif. Oh, that's much better, Lillian. Now we've got startling 20-watt light. So Lillian was suffering. I recognized her suffering. Immediately I moved to remove her suffering. But what it's going to do is add to my electricity bill. All 20 watts of it. So on a day-to-day nitty-gritty sort of level, we can try and solve people's small problems. Something to eat, something to drink, isn't it? Little things. But that goes on year after year after year. Not what we call real happiness, but what we call pleasure. So when we understand that the very nature of sentient beings is suffering, the first noble truth, then we become really concerned, not just with ourselves, but with them, the greater number. Then how can I solve their problems? How can I do anything? What can I do? Well, with all my garbage, all my rubbish that I'm carrying around day after day, yes, it's very limited what I can do. So when I motivate with bodhicitta, every moment from that time is benefited, is touched, is conjoined with bodhicitta. If you don't, then you wake up and you think, oof, another day. I've got to go to work. Poor me. You look out the window. Oh, it's such a horrible day. Wish I was staying at home. Increasing this negative state of mind. And then you go to work and people say, good morning, how are you? And you say, oh, shut up. I just need a cup of coffee. So you live for a cup of coffee, or you live for a nice phone call, or you live for a smile, but still it doesn't really touch you in your heart because somehow we've sealed our heart off from these kind moments and giving of these kind moments. So bodhicitta is the challenge, is the push that we need in order to become better people. But not just better people, to become totally caring of the future, the present and the future of all sentient beings. So all of these teachings in the Lam Rim lead up to bodhicitta. And then, I'm just moving this light because I see a shadow. I'm so good at this now. I still have a shadow. It's a right side. Do you see a shadow, Lillian? It's quite pronounced, isn't it? It makes me look a bit evil. It does. I look terrible, Lillian. I've got this sort of line down here. This is the dark side, and this is the light side. Maybe move this back a little bit. I'm so startled by how I look. Oh, now I've gone completely dim. So the whole of the Lam Rim, renunciation, bodhicitta, renunciation, letting go of the attachment to this life, the happiness of this life. Why? In order to open our hearts, in order to be able to give to others, fulfill the needs and the wishes of others with our body, speech, and mind. And then, like I said before, we become egotistical. Oh, look at me. I'm doing really well now. So then bodhicitta can become a problem because you can become egotistical about bodhicitta. So then you need the wisdom realizing emptiness, shunyata. Recognizing that you have the potential to become enlightened. They also have the potential to become enlightened. What's the difference between you and an animal, you and an insect? What's the difference between you and a Buddha? What's the difference? Actually, the Buddha, the potential, the nature, the Buddha nature, same. A Buddha's actualized that nature, but we have the potential. We have the seed that's there that can develop and grow. So that's what the Lam Rim is teaching you. The enlightened behavior that will give you less harm and more benefit over time. Of course, it's got to be over time because we have so many habits, so many karmic obscurations that it's going to take time to get to enlightenment. But at least we can start, and if it helps us to be better at home, better as a friend, better as a parent, a child, whatever you are, you know, better with your parent, better with your boss, that you have better customer service. I was laughing the other day about, you know, how wherever I go here, they say, hello, how are you today? It's so American now, you know, that we just sort of become, how are you today? And so I start to tell them how I am. And then they sort of glaze over and they, you know, they don't want to know. So, you know, we don't want to be like that, that when we're engaging with customers or with business people, whatever it is, we're alive, we're awake, and we're serving. Not because I'm getting money, but because I want to serve. I want to be a benefit. And then that benefits the business, and then that benefits the customer. So actually, bodhicitta is going to benefit spiritually. It's going to benefit at home. It's going to benefit at work. Wherever you are, it's going to benefit. So this is all contained within the Lam Rim. So my idea of talking about the Lam Rim was, one, I've never done it, in the sense of starting at the beginning and going to the end. I've never done it. Because when I teach in the centers, in India, the Western centers, we don't have time. Now, thanks to the virus, we have time. I keep praying that the virus will go on another 2 or 3 years, so I've got so much time to teach. I'm joking. But you know what I mean? We've got some time, so let's use this time to go a bit more in depth, a bit more into, as a Westerner, what's the value of the Lam Rim? Because I'm worried that people think it's a sort of Tibetan trip or Buddhist trip, and it may not be of value to you. You may think it may not be of value to you, but it's of great value to you. You know, when I first heard the Lam Rim at Kopan, then Lama Zopa was teaching, and I was thinking, oh yes, I get that, I get that, I get that. You know, like tick, 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 impermanence, of course, death, of course, like that. I had this checklist. Emptiness, I was reading Meditation on Emptiness by Jeffrey Hopkins, was my first book like this, on emptiness. Yeah, I get it. At the end of the course, I saw Lama Zopa, and I said to him, okay, what's next? And he said, Lam Rim. And I said, but I've just finished 1 month. He said, yeah, do it again. You have to hear it 3 times. We need 3 times. Body, speech, and mind. We need to go deeper. And in the depths is where the change happens. On the surface is the decision for the change to happen. Oh, when I put the Lam Rim and my mind together, do I have renunciation? Ooh, difficult. No. Renunciation is not going to the supermarket and things have disappeared off the shelves, and so you can't buy it, so therefore you're not eating it. That's not renunciation. Because now in Australia, most of our things come from China. Everything's disappearing off the shelves. People are buying toilet paper like it's going out of fashion. And people now may think they're renunciates because they don't have. That's not renunciation. It's an actual decision to give up something for the greater benefit, not the smaller benefit. You understand? So We have to make these decisions about renunciation, bodhicitta, emptiness, in comparison to our present thoughts, our present behavior, what needs to be changed. There's psychological methods to adjust the mind. So I am going to start at the very beginning. In the very beginning, it talks about the excellent qualities of a teacher's lamp for the path to enlightenment. So I think I've mentioned many times, sorry, I've got this funny little cough, that Lama Atisha went to Tibet, and he was requested to put the 84,000 teachings of Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, together into something that would make sense and be understandable, would have relevance to the highest and the lowest teachers and students in Tibet. And he said, doesn't exist. So the first Lam Rim came from Atisha, and Atisha then sent it to India. The teachers in India said, wow, this is incredible, never known before. Write a commentary. So this became known as the lamp on the path to enlightenment, sometimes translated as light on the path to enlightenment or lamp on the path to enlightenment. It was published by Unwin, I think in 1984 in English. So this is the encapsulation in a certain order, the path to enlightenment, with the easiest subjects leading up to the most difficult subjects. I'm going to make one adjustment. I was thinking about this morning, and I decided I'm not going to talk about the guru. Too controversial. So I decided to miss out the guru or Kanguru until the end, and then go back to it and then teach about the guru. Because by the end, maybe you're thinking, I need a guru. But how to know a real guru, how to know who's a good teacher, who's beneficial for you, etc. I think at the very beginning of the Lam Rim, you're not going to know. Isn't it, Lillian? No. Lillian says, yes, that's completely correct. Because supposedly we're new students. We're Western students who don't grow up with the idea of guru. And then people say, oh, this is another manipulation. You know, they're just trying to get the money out of me, or they're just trying to do something to me. It's not fair. Why me? You know, this sort of thing. So it's nothing to do with that. It's your spiritual welfare that the guru is supposed to help you with. But if you don't go through the Lam Rim, I think you're not going to get to the point where you think, I need a guru. So that's why I've decided I'm going to leave it out and put it at the end rather than at the beginning. In fact, His Holiness often says, for Westerners, you should perhaps talk about emptiness in the very beginning. Because when you talk about emptiness in the beginning, they go, wow, and don't understand any of it, but want to know more. So then they think it's very profound. The way the Lam Rim is set up, it doesn't seem profound in the beginning because it's easy subjects. But you have to go deeper into those subjects in order to understand later the compassion. If you just skim over it, you know, the freedoms, the endowments, you just skim over it, you don't have enough information when it comes to compassion. So I'll explain that as we're going along. So, a teacher's lamp for the path to enlightenment, or light on the path to enlightenment. The first one is the quality reflecting that all Lord Buddha's teachings are non-contradictory. All Lord Buddha's teachings are non-contradictory. The quality of the graduated path is that it shows nothing is contradictory, whether it's the Theravadan path or the Mahayana path or the Vajrayana path. whichever path you're on, each has a benefit for individuals at different stages in their development. So Buddha taught all of these various levels or stages because he understood that every mind is different and every mind needs a particular way of explaining the Dharma. And then once you start practicing that level, you may gain appreciation for another level. But it's not looking at any other teaching as contradictory, but also not looking at other teachings as inferior. We cannot say any other teaching is inferior, because if you do, then you can create a split, a schism, and this is not allowed. So we may think there are contradictions because Buddha taught in the first wheel of the doctrine, Buddha taught all phenomena from form to the 37 limbs of enlightenment are truly existent. So Buddha said form up to the 37 limbs of enlightenment, they are truly existent. He didn't say non-truly existent, he said truly existent in the first turning of the wheel of the Four Noble Truths. The second turning of the wheel, he said, now they're not existent. They're non-existent, not truly existent. So then you think, was Buddha confused? Did Buddha not know what he was doing? What's his problem? I don't know if this is better here. Excuse me while I adjust. Bit better, maybe. So Buddha knew the mind of the students, and what he did was very skillfully agree with them. He said, you think things are truly existent? Yes, of course they are. Right. So then they relaxed and they said, oh, we're right. Buddha agrees. Then the second turning, he said, but hang on a minute. Now we need to go deeper. Now we need to analyze. They're not truly existent. Why? And he gave reasons. And because they trusted him, because they'd listened to him the first time, they would listen the second time. So there's many examples of this. You know, there's examples of when you go to a Tibetan doctor and the Tibetan doctor says your body's very cold, you should take alcohol. Then you go back, you're too hot. The doctor says, stop alcohol. If you have lung, wind disease, the doctor says you should eat meat and drink beer, put beer in the broth, make a heavy broth. And then you go back and the doctor says, what are you doing? Oh, I'm having broth and oh, no, stop that. It's not that the doctor's contradictory. The instructions change according to the person and the teachings that they need. This is skillful. So our guru will teach us according to the level of our mind and will give us teachings on Theravadan, the Mahayana path. Depends on the capability, depends on the wisdom of that particular student and that particular level of their development. So that's the first quality of the Lam Rim. The second quality is the quality reflecting that all scriptures are instructions for practice. All scriptures are instructions for practice. All the teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha are methods for teaching and reaching enlightenment. When you study the Lam Rim, you're gaining understanding from the very beginning to the very end, the enlightenment stage, from the very beginning to the very end, you're gaining understanding and experience of all the Buddha's teachings from Sutra to Tantra. The 84,000 collections of Dharma is all contained within the Lam Rim, as I said before. If you study, for instance, Nagarjuna teaches many texts on emptiness. So if you only study Nagarjuna, you're getting one particular aspect of the Lam Rim. Then if you know the Lam Rim, you would know where Nagarjuna fits into the Lam Rim. Or somebody teaching bodhicitta. They are only focusing on one aspect, and they write a book on that one aspect. And then you would look at the Lam Rim and you think, okay, where does this bodhicitta fit into it? Right there. If you don't have that understanding of the Lam Rim, you don't have an overview of the path. Therefore, you don't know where that teaching fits in. I didn't really understand this in the beginning. I heard it, but I didn't really understand it until I started taking teachings outside of Kopan, where it was in this order of the Lam Rim. So suddenly I was getting teachings on Lojong. I went to the monastery in South India, and this Lama was teaching me 8 verses of thought transformation. And then I thought, yes, this is in the Lam Rim, and this is where it goes. You don't get confused. If you don't know the Lam Rim, it's as if you go to the supermarket, you buy all the different foods, you come home and you put it all in one container. And it all gets mixed up. You need to know, we start here, then it goes to this, then it goes to this, in order to understand the graduated path. What else to say? The path of renunciation includes understanding impermanence, karma, the dissatisfaction and suffering of existence, the constant wish to escape from samsaric suffering and attain liberation or enlightenment. To achieve enlightenment, then we need to practice bodhicitta, loving kindness, great compassion are the basis. And then the motivation of bodhicitta makes any practice a Mahayana practice. Then having developed bodhicitta, to achieve enlightenment, we need to practice the third principal path, the path of wisdom. Seeing the true nature of all things, the emptiness of inherent existence, of oneself and phenomena, and that wisdom is the direct opponent to all delusions. So this is all contained within the Lam Rim, but it all comes down to, if you take 84,000 teachings, Lam Rim. If you take the Lam Rim and subsume it down into 3 principal paths, you've got a very concise method of understanding all the Dharma, 3 principal paths. You flesh it out, you give more to it. You've got the Lam Rim, and then you've got the 84,000 teachings of Buddha. The quality of easily discovering the victorious one's thought. So because the Buddhist doctrine is so vast, the commentaries of the great masters on the Lam Rim is probably even greater than the Lam Rim. So a lot of those commentaries are so specific, a whole book could be written about one little point, whereas the graduated path gives you everything within that one book. The Lam Rim, the graduated path, goes right to the heart of Lord Buddha's doctrine. So this is the third excellent quality. It's providing the essence of the teachings for the beings of 3 scopes, in particular the teachings of the 3 principal paths. The Buddha taught 3 scopes to suit beings of different levels of intelligence. Of course, we're all the higher intelligence, so we should just talk about that. But the lower intelligence, they may not understand the higher teachings because they don't have the karmic imprints to understand. So we have lower lower scope, medium scope, higher scope. The higher scope incorporates all of the Lam Rim. The lower scope, you could talk about precious human rebirth, impermanence, death. For many people, that's very profound for them. So they start there, and it's very meaningful, and it gets their practice started. But then after a while, they want to know more. So then they go to the medium scope, etc. Number 4, the quality of automatically becoming free of the great fault. The great fault. What is the great fault, I wonder? Abandoning the Dharma. Abandoning the sutra set creates non-virtue surpassing that of a person destroying all the stupas in this world. Abandoning the sutra set creates non-virtue surpassing that of killing as many foe destroyers as there are grains of sand in the Ganges. This is from the King of Concentration's Sutra. It's a very heavy negative karma. So if we criticize another school, we create this heavy negative karma of abandoning the Dharma. Not to be sectarian, not to talk about the Vajrayana as being very exotic, and now I have to buy a Dorjian bell and, do all this and have mala on my, and it's all going to be so complicated, so I'm not going to do that. It's as if we're turning our minds away from things that can be a benefit to us, sort of rejecting it. So when somebody says to you, what do you think about practicing Om Mani Padme Hum? You go, oh, waste of time. Wouldn't do that. So we have to be careful because everybody's at a different stage in their development. Sometimes it can just take one, would you practice Om Mani Padme Hum? They go, and then they think, oh, must be bad. So we have to be careful not to discriminate and not to criticize even other religions. His Holiness says maybe 5% of the world's population practice religion. I don't know if that's literal or he's trying to shock us. But, the number of people who actually practice, he said about 5%. Christians, Muslims, whatever. Many people go to religion, don't necessarily practice religion, put it into practice. So people ask me, should I go to church with my mother? Why not? What's the problem? Isn't it wonderful that somebody wants to go to church and pray for the benefit of all sentient beings? All false delusions and negative actions are stopped automatically by the practice of the graduated path. So if you're doing a mantra or visualization, you will not necessarily have methods for controlling the delusions that arise unless you know the practices of the graduated path. So you're sitting there, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. I really don't like that person. Oh, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. I read somewhere that good concentration is being able to recite, I think it was 28 mantras without discursive thought. 28. It's not much, is it? Just 28. But we find it so difficult to concentrate without the mind popping out, as I was saying last month on how to meditate. So difficult. So without the Lam Rim giving you the antidotes to the negative states of mind, the discursive thought, then how are we going to apply the opponent powers, the opponent forces to those delusions? So there are four qualities. Then, because of Lama Tsongkhapa, Lama Tsongkhapa also writing Lam Rim, then there's 3 more excellent qualities from Lama Tsongkhapa. The graduated path teaching includes all the teachings of Sutra and Tantra, all the meaning of Sutra and Tantra. The graduated path is easy to practice because it presents mainly the stages of taming the mind. So the teachings are not complicated, it's easy to practice, it's gradual. Delusions and negative thoughts can arise in the course of your Dharma practice. By acting on these negative thoughts, you create negative karma, you become agitated, and you can't control your mind. So I think the point there is, you're trying to practice the Dharma, but you don't really know how to control your mind. So instead of creating virtue, you're creating non-virtue. We all want to create virtue. We all want more happiness, less suffering. But we need to know how. How do I do that? Number 3 of Lama Tsongkhapa is, this teaching contains the combined instructions of Nagarjuna and Asanga. The wisdom lineage was transmitted by Vidyakakila and the method lineage by Savanadvipi. They came from the line of great bodhisattvas and holy masters, and they were disciples of Nagarjuna and Asanga, and were combined into the graduated path texts. So there was originally the text from Atisha, and then Lama Tsongkhapa came later, and then he combined these other teachers into his text. So the bottom line, the conclusion is, it's very difficult to achieve realizations, especially the realizations of emptiness. The wisdom perceiving emptiness. My teacher, Genlam Rinpa, said to me, when I asked for Lam Rim teachings, he said, okay, think about impermanence. Okay, well, that sounds easy. All day thinking about impermanence, watching the weather, watching the people in the market, being aware of the change in them. I mean, it was easier in India in a way, because he said, when you go to the market and they're bargaining and they get the price they want, happy. When they don't get the price they want, unhappy. You don't quite see that in Coles and Woolworths. But maybe you could stand near an empty shelf, you know, like the toilet paper shelf, when people are sort of speeding around, heading towards the toilet paper counter, the shelves, there's no toilet paper. What will I do now? I must say, I was in the supermarket the other day, and I thought toilet paper had become supersized because it was kitchen roll paper. It's so long since I've been shopping in supermarkets. I was actually standing in front of the kitchen paper for a while, looking at it, thinking, gosh, that's really big toilet paper. You know, it's sort of like this big. What sort of people use that sort of toilet paper? But even that was running short. You know, there were only a few of that, and I was thinking, should I buy it? Obviously, people are buying it and they're using it, you know, because it's nearly all gone. So you could stand near the toilet paper and see the disappointment. I think it's more difficult in the West to see strong changes in people. Maybe things like football games, cricket games, you know, the team's winning, the team's losing, you know, like this. Maybe there you see it. But mostly it seems in the West, we're very busy concealing how we feel. We try to keep it all down, secret, yeah? Let me know if you have some thoughts about that. You can send some suggestions to the blog. There must be ideas. Okay, so that's where does the Lam Rim come from? I remember Lama Zopa Rinpoche, when he first started teaching the Lam Rim, he used to spend at least an hour on the lineage. It came from Shakyamuni Buddha, and then it went to this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one. It's like, who cares? Just get on with it. But for the Tibetans, it was very important for them to prove to you that this is not coming from me, it's coming from a lineage. The blessing of the lineage is still there because it's been passed down from Shakyamuni Buddha to Atisha, to Lama Tsongkhapa, to me. That's what the lineage is. So I'm not giving you the lineage, but I'm just saying, as Westerners, we tend not to want that. We want, get on with it. Just tell me. But for the Tibetans, it was very important to say to you, this is authentic. Listen to it. Because there's a benefit. The benefit is going to be your enlightenment, not more confusion. So how to listen to the Dharma and the benefits of listening to the Dharma? We need to listen with energy and attention. The first point is by understanding the Vinaya, you will develop morality. With pure morality, your mind remains undistracted and free of agitation. Well, what can I say? Pure morality. Maybe for the time of the teaching, not sitting there if you're outside, at a public teaching and the mosquito, and goodbye to that one. Not letting your mind wander onto negative thoughts, because those negative thoughts become negative speech, negative mind, negative actions. So this is a tough one. We're going to, of course, get to karma. But here it's saying, when you're listening to the Dharma, be pure. Are you pure, Lillian? No, I thought not. Can you be pure? We're ordinary sentient beings, right? We know we have karma and delusion. So when it says something like this, I immediately go to the minds of people who go, oh, what am I going to do? I'm not pure. I think we all feel like that, oh, this is too difficult. So just say to yourself, for the time I'm listening to the teaching, I'm going to do my best to limit the negative thoughts, the distracting thoughts, the disturbing thoughts. I'm going to try not to be agitated. Like that washing machine, that at the end you can pick up all the clothes all in one and just take them outside and then sort them out. No need to allow the mind. Wasn't this called the agitator? Like that. Good enough. By understanding the sutra teachings, you will develop good concentration. The sutra teachings show how to concentrate. By practicing concentration, you're able to subdue the mind. So last month I was talking about how to meditate. Next month, again, I'll talk about how to meditate. But if we can reduce the negative states of mind, if we can reduce the karma that we're creating, then the consequence of that is that your mind is more peaceful, you can concentrate. By understanding the Abhidharma, you will develop wisdom and will thus achieve liberation. When the mind is developed, you generate the wisdom perceiving the ultimate nature of all phenomena. That wisdom is the direct opponent to the ignorance of self-grasping, which holds you in cyclic existence. It cuts the root of delusion energy and enables you to achieve liberation. We have this ego grasping. The ego is there 24 hours a day. Even when you're sleeping, the ego's there. In the night, oh, my back, you know, there's the ego. I must turn over. I'm feeling a bit of pain. I turn over. Bad dream. You wake up, terrible dream, good dream. Wow. You know, I dreamt about the Dalai Lama. Must be great. It must be good dream. So we have bad dream, good dream. The ego grasps onto it. So this ego grasping from beginningless time is the contradiction to the Dharma. So we need the Abhidharma teachings, which is all the teachings on wisdom, to achieve liberation. Without listening to the teachings, even an intelligent person with natural wisdom is like a person with excellent sight in a room darkened by a power strike. So you've got excellent eyes, we put the lights off, you can't see. Despite the excellent sight that person has, they can't see and enjoy the features of the room until the electricity is restored. The wisdom of listening to the Dharma is the light which enables us to see and enjoy the path to enlightenment. It lights us up. It switches on our wisdom. It points you in the right direction. But if you don't listen to the Dharma with an open mind, with the right qualities, the right way of listening, then little benefit. Imprints, but not so much benefit. Leave me in the dark. I'll be fine. So listening to the Dharma and receiving teachings develops wisdom. This wisdom eliminates ignorance like a lamp eliminates darkness. Listening to the Dharma is the best of all possessions because unlike ordinary possessions, thieves cannot steal it. Listening to the Dharma is a weapon to destroy the enemy of confusion. Listening to the Dharma is your best friend because it gives you the best advice. Listening to the Dharma is the best relative or friend because it will never forsake you when you become poor. Listening to the Dharma is the best medicine because it has no side effects and cures the disease of delusion. Listening to the Dharma is the supreme opponent because it reduces all great faults. You will stop creating non-virtues of thought and action because you will recognize thoughts and actions that are skillful and those that are unskillful. Listening to the Dharma is the best treasure as it bestows a wealth of resources and a great reputation. Listening to the Dharma is the best gift we can have when meeting with high-minded people. Listening to the Dharma is the best way to please any gathering of scholars. So you listen to the teachings, you gain the wisdom of listening, and thereafter the wisdom of thinking and meditating. Thinking, contemplating, meditating, like that. So then it comes to listening. I think listening also, you could say thinking. But there's different levels of thinking. So usually we talk about listening or studying, reading, then contemplation, and then meditation. These are the three wisdoms. So the first one is, I want to listen to the Dharma. I'm listening to it. I compare it with my thoughts, my mind. I have a problem with it. So we analytically discuss things in our minds to make things clear. What was the Buddha saying? Buddha's obviously wiser than me. I'm not going to be so arrogant that I'm saying, you know, I know better than the Buddha. So what was the Buddha saying? I really don't understand it. So, okay, put it to one side for a while. But I do understand it, but it's contradictory to the way I'm thinking at the moment. So then how can I manage that? That I have this habit, which is contradictory to the Buddha's teaching. Does that make sense? So my mind's over here and the Buddha's teaching's over here. I need to study more. I need to listen more. I need to think more in order to get to the stage where I'm comfortable with the Buddha's idea. It's getting closer and closer to my way of thinking. You know, it's not that Buddha's idea is changing, but my mind is changing. And so they get closer and closer to each other. And then you're able to contemplate. And contemplation is important because that's a sort of, we can say also rumination, isn't it? It's a good word, rumination. When you sit back and you think, so how would I do that? Which way would I do it? How could I put it into practice? You understand, like that? Deeper. Not totally deep, on the way to, you know, it's like you're going below the surface and it starts to look quite beautiful on the surface. It wasn't looking so good. Below the surface, it's starting to look better, more beautiful. That's your mind. Your mind is more beautiful below the surface. On the surface, some problems. Once we've contemplated, the Tibetans, sorry about this for vegans and vegetarians, but the Tibetans say it's like chewing a piece of Tibetan meat, or maybe Tibetan cheese. If you've ever eaten their cheese, it's unbelievable. It's like rock. In Kopan, some monks were chewing something and I said to them, "What are you chewing?" And they said, "Cheese." And I said, "Oh, give me a piece." And they gave me a piece and I immediately cracked my tooth. So this is really tough cheese and you have to keep moistening it and moistening it and moistening it, and gradually it softens. So that's what you do with your mind. You're skillful. Don't just, attack it. Gradually you've got to keep approaching it so that it softens and sees the benefit of the Buddha's teachings. Then when you're ready, you can meditate on it. And when you meditate on it and it makes sense, quickly you can have realizations of it. But if you go very quickly to meditation without the other two stages, it just seems like a nightmare. You're confronting your mind with a potential problem, not a potential solution. Right? What else to say? Being respectful and serving the teacher. Oh yes, I must mention this. Listen to the Dharma with... this is from the Essence of the Grounds Sutra. This is the actual words of the Buddha. Listen to the Dharma with complete faith and respect. Do not mock or disparage its teachers. Generating the view that they are like the Buddhas, make offerings to the teachers of Dharma. So here it's saying you must serve and be respectful to Dharma teachers and listen to their teachings as you would to the Buddha himself. A person who teaches the Dharma is called a Lama or Guru, but that does not mean he or she, because there are female gurus, it does not mean that he or she is your personal guru. A personal relationship with a guru is established with a person whom you have accepted in your own mind as being your personal Dharma teacher. Even if you receive teachings from a spiritual master for many years, they only become your guru when you think of them as such. So the minute you think, this is my guru, that's it. They are your guru. It's not that the teacher says back to you, yes, I'm now your guru. Of course, you should go and ask. If you want them to be your guru, you decide, and then you ask the teacher, will you be my guru? After making that decision, you must practice and follow the guru's instructions exactly. This is the practice of guru yoga. Before accepting a guru, you analyze the qualities, practice, and knowledge of the Dharma. So even if the guru is well qualified, but you cannot communicate well with each other, or the guru is not able to help you and bring you to happiness, then it's not necessary to accept them as your guru. So this happens sometimes that, you think, wow, this teacher is incredible and so many people like them and they're famous, I should go and meet them. And then you meet them and you ask them a simple question and they can't seem to give you an answer that suits your mind, fits your mind. It may be that they're not the person for you as a guru. The guru is often referred to as the door to realizations. Having accepted a guru, you will receive teachings from time to time, but not just whenever it suits you. You should have respect for your guru and wait until he or she is ready to give teachings. So if the guru is very busy with meditation or with other things, then you shouldn't push and keep requesting teachings all the time. Zeman, listening. Fion. So after requesting teachings, then we defer to the teacher and wait for the teacher's convenience. So I'm just saying this because there's many of you around the world, and you may not know the sort of the polite way of approaching teachers in your country, in your Dharma center. What do you do? And so you approach them and you do 3 prostrations and you request a teaching, and then nothing happens. So it may well be that that teacher is very busy and doesn't have the time to do it at the moment. So don't become impatient, practice patience, rejoice that the teacher is doing things for others, and then see how it goes. Having accepted a guru, be attentive and learn from all their actions and words, not just from the formal teachings, but also in casual times, just talking together. Be aware and learn all the time. All the activities are part of the guru's skillful methods for showing disciples the most rapid path to enlightenment. What do I have to say about that? I think you need to be practical. When you're asking for teachings, you need to know the level of mind that you have. In other words, the 3 scopes. Don't ask for a teaching that's too high for you, because then there's going to be very little or no value. It's an ego trip. Oh, Geshe-la, if you could just teach emptiness, because you're trying to say, I'm at that level, Or, oh, Geshe-la, I love bodhicitta so much. But you don't understand impermanence and death. It would be better to ask for teachings on impermanence and death or karma. That would please the teacher, I think, as opposed to asking for very high teachings and then not being able to understand the teachings. Like I said before, in the past in Tibet, people would receive, monks, nuns, lay people, they would receive a small instruction and spend a year or more on that one small instruction. And once they'd understood it or had realizations of it, then they received the next instruction. Unfortunately, these days, it seems like everybody wants to go for the higher teachings very quickly and not getting realizations. And the reason behind that is it's not the fault of the Dharma, it's not the fault of the teacher, it's the fault of us that we want to go too quickly. We want to sort of, kangaroo to the front of the teachings and take very high teachings that are, in a way, they're just blessings, but they're not the level that we're at. Okay, so the actual way of listening to the Dharma, abandoning the 3 faults, obstructing us from becoming a suitable vessel. So the 3 faults, I think I've talked about this before, but just to mention, because we're going through the Lam Rim. Are you an upside down vessel? So if you're a cup, and it's upside down, we can't add any liquid to the cup. So this means closed-minded. Somebody whose mind is so closed, you can't add anything to it. So don't allow your mind to wander. Don't allow your mind to have agitation. Concentrate very carefully and deeply while listening to the Dharma, as this becomes a meditation in itself. I find when I'm listening to teachings, it's very good to make notes, because when you make notes, you really have to concentrate in order to make the notes, but then also to read the notes after and see if you've made sense of it. The second one is being like a vessel. Here it says with a hole, but we always used to say a cracked vessel. Not cracked as in, but the cup has got a crack in it. So when you pour liquid, it starts to leak. You're hearing the teachings in one way and out the other. Not remembering what's taught. So when we're taking teachings, as I said, make notes, put into practice whatever understanding is gained from the teachings. So if you go to a meditation course, or if you take teachings online, immediately after the teaching, start to think, how can I put this into practice? So the next time you take a teaching, before you start, you think, am I an upside down vessel? Am I a cracked vessel? Or the third one, being like a dirty vessel. Dirty, disgusting. So this is something polluting has been in the cup and it's being washed, but still there's a smell. And so whatever you put into that vessel takes on that bad smell. It's tainted. So it's having impure motivation. When receiving teachings, you need to do so with a pure mind, good motivation, keeping the mind free of negative thoughts, self-cherishing attitudes, the 8 worldly dharmas, etc. The Buddha said, listen well, listen fully, and retain in the mind. Listen well is the fault of refers to abandoning the fault of the dirty vessel. Listen fully refers to abandoning the fault of the vessel being upside down. Retain in the mind refers to abandoning the fault of the vessel with holes. So we've got 3 faults. Too full, losing, not retaining. And the third one is polluting. I think pollution is very easy. We bring our ideas, our projections, our thoughts into the teachings. We think we know what's said, but actually we're subverting the Dharma. We're adding to the Dharma and not really hearing the Dharma. Of course, that's the nature of delusion. That's why you need to hear more than once, because you hear once and you think, oh, yeah, that's interesting. You hear twice, it goes deeper. You hear the third time, it goes even deeper. Then you have the 6 recognitions. Lillian, what are the 6 recognitions? Lillian is now going to tell us about the 6 recognitions. I will turn the camera on her so you can see her shocked face. So, we need to make sure that we're suitable for Dharma teachings. When you apply these 6 recognitions to yourself, you avoid treating the Dharma as an academic exercise. You know, down the road we have USQ. So if you go to study Dharma at USQ, you could study philosophy. You know, you should be patient, you should be kind. You can go home and kick the dog and shout at your partner, because it's not something that you practice, it's something that you study. So here we're talking about the difference between, if you like, knowing the words of Dharma and putting the Dharma into practice. We want you to put the Dharma into practice as quickly as possible. So the first recognition is you are a sick person. You are all sick. Not me, but you. Then you recognize the Dharma as medicine. So first of all, I'm sick. I need medicine. What's the suitable medicine? Dharma. Because what's sick is the mind, not the body. The teacher is the skillful doctor. Practice is the way to be cured. The Buddha is holy, not W-H, holy, H-O-L-Y, is holy and reliable. And the sixth one, the Dharma should flourish and endure. So the first one, you're sick, then you automatically, I think we go, what? I'm not sick. But we have the 84,000 delusions, the disease of delusion, the disease of self-cherishing, ego grasping. So it's difficult to recognize we're like a patient in the hospital and that our delusions are the real disease. When we recognize that the delusions are the disease, we recognize what causes pain and suffering. Attachment arises to develop expectations which may not be fulfilled. That can lead to frustration, which makes you unhappy and uncomfortable. So you're like a sick person. Your delusions are your disease. Buddha said, delusions are the worst disease as they cause the most suffering and pain. Out of a delusion, people go to war. One person makes a war. Think about it. So, I am sick. Look at the resistance to being sick. I'm delusional. Right? You have the knife in front of you. The knife is saying, you're sick. And the mind goes, no, I'm not. So you have to lean forward, put the tip of the knife in your heart, lean forward and realize that that resistance is stopping you from becoming a Buddha. Because from beginningless time, you don't want to apply the Dharma, because if you had, you would have been a Bodhisattva and enlightened by now. Second, because I'm sick, I need the Dharma, excuse me, I need the Dharma as medicine. So the practice of the Buddha's teachings, the Dharma, I can't put that packet there because I'd be advertising, is the medicine to remove the illness of suffering and the delusions. By practicing the path leading to the cessation of suffering, the disease of delusions will be cured. You will achieve a permanent cessation of suffering, liberation. So first, I'm sick. Second, the Dharma is medicine. Third, the teacher is a skillful doctor. When you go to a skillful doctor, checking, put your tongue out. Your eyes are yellow. So there's physical ways of checking. But the Dharma teacher, in a way, has a much more difficult job because you're concealing all of your problems, all of your negativities. You're hiding them deep down inside. You don't want anybody to know about it. So you need to not just see your teacher as sort of a university professor or a school teacher, just giving out knowledge. They need to be extremely skilled in noticing the subtle signs and then knowing exactly how to apply the Dharma's medicine in your particular case to be free of your disease. Because there's 84,000 delusions, it has to be very particular. Can't be just everybody impermanence, everybody karma. There has to be specific methods for each student. So you need to take your teacher's explanation as personal advice to overcome your disease of delusion. The next one is recognizing that practice is the way to be cured. Buddha explained, though I teach you the great holy Dharma well, after you hear it, you do not practice properly. It is like the sick person carrying a sack of unopened medicine, saying, my disease has not been cured. So you have the sick person, you have the Dharma, you have the skillful teacher, you've received the medicine, the Dharma. Practice is the way to be cured, but you carry the medicine on your back and you say, not getting any better. It's not the fault of the Dharma and it's not the fault of the teacher. It's your fault. It's your problem. Well, this is hard to say. No, it's not really, because we've all done it. It's not hard to say, because I know we all do it. In the beginning, I think there is a feeling that whatever I'm hearing is knowledge as opposed to practice. For Westerners, I think it's very much about accumulating knowledge. We write in the books, we buy so many books, but we don't put it into practice. Asians, I think, are much more used to hearing teachings as methods to put into practice. But whether they do it also, I'm not sure. I think deep down, we've all got self-grasping, self-cherishing. We're all sentient beings. You should practice the Buddha's teachings of the three vehicles, the graduated path of Atisha and Lama Tsongkhapa, step by step. So Shantideva said, if we need to follow our doctor's advice when afflicted by an ordinary disease, what need to mention when inflicted by the hundreds of delusions, attachment, and so forth? Without the realization of the first stage of the path, we cannot achieve the realizations of the second, third stage. Therefore, it is necessary to practice as instructed. Otherwise, we don't gain realizations and we won't overcome our suffering. Buddha said, if you practice Dharma, understand your mind, observe karma, there is benefit to both yourself and others. Buddha first helps you to help yourself, and then you can help others. The greatest help we can provide is to practice Dharma ourselves, and then we teach others. There's no way to remove others' negative karma apart from showing them the right path. The Buddhas cannot wash away sins with water. They cannot remove sentient beings' suffering by hand. Their realization cannot be transferred to others. Only by showing the truth of suchness can they be released. If Buddha had the power to remove suffering from sentient beings, Buddha would have done it. If Jesus had the ability to remove the sufferings of sentient beings, Jesus would have done it. Muhammad, Osho, whoever you want to think about, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, if they had this power, they would do it. They don't have this power. They give this power to you. They give you the soap, the scrubbing brush, the water, the bucket, the dirty clothes you have. It's an analogy. I'm not going into laundry now. But you just leave it there in the bucket. You leave the scrubbing brush. You leave everything and you say, too difficult. or too lazy, or I'll do it tomorrow, another time. So we need to get that feeling that this is important. Important for me, important for them. Recognizing the Buddha as holy and reliable, the teachings of the Dharma were originated by Shakyamuni Buddha. When you listen, you should remember his qualities and compassion and recognize that because of his attainment of enlightenment, he is the supreme holy being and totally reliable in the methods he proposes. This recognition will prevent you from taking the teachings of your spiritual master lightly. Because otherwise we think, oh, it's just the teacher talking. But actually the teacher is teaching in a direct lineage from Shakyamuni Buddha. So you need to take it seriously. Recognizing that the Dharma should flourish and endure. By seeing the limitless benefit of the Dharma for yourself and others, reflect on its preciousness and develop the wish that it flourishes and lasts forever to the benefit of all. This attitude will cause you to value the Dharma more greatly. Otherwise, we think, the Dharma, it's everywhere. You know, these days, it's in Iceland, it's everywhere. So if we don't value it, maybe this sort of, whatever, you know, sort of casual attitude. But one day we won't have Dharma. One lifetime we won't have Dharma. We need to make that strong connection with the Dharma now, while it's still alive, still valid, still pure, while we have incredible teachers like His Holiness Lama Zopa Rinpoche, Shakya Trinzin Rinpoche, you know, many, Kadrula, many very good teachers. We have the authentic Dharma, but in one lifetime, there'll only be the buildings, only the statues, and no teachings. So make the connection now, put it into practice now, don't wait, is my advice. So the next part is how to use meditation in the Dharma teachings, but you know, most of this I then covered in the meditation part that I've just taught, how to meditate, and I will continue next month. So not going to talk about that. And I think that's all for today. One little thing for those in Dharma centers, something it says in the Lam Rim, and I'm not sure it's always put into effect in Dharma centers. When giving teachings, the Guru sits on a high cushion or throne to imply respect for the teachings. The teachings of the Buddha are precious because they remove delusions and the suffering of all sentient beings and bring benefit to them. The teacher is not seated in a high place because he's proud, but out of respect for the teachings. It's necessary for the person who's teaching, whether lay or ordained, to sit in a higher place than the students. Many students in the West nowadays sit on chairs, and often the teacher is below the students, looking up at the students. I don't know if Dharma centers think about this. And it seems that they also have a reluctance to put teachers on a higher seat, because they seem to think that suddenly all Western teachers are going to explode their ego or something, I don't know. But we really need to think about how this was organized from the very beginning and how we're not following it. Usually Sangha are restricted by their precepts from sitting on high thrones or cushions, but they must do so when teaching to symbolize the preciousness of the Dharma. The centers should realize that this is about their respect for the Dharma, and they should put the teacher up because they're saying the teacher is representing Shakyamuni Buddha, and this is precious. The students should stand. They should prostrate 3 times at the beginning of teachings for the same reason. many Dharma centers now do this and are very good at doing this, but there's sometimes, you know, a few who seem a bit shy about, you know, well, what should we do and how should we do it? But I think if this is explained to the students why it's being done, then the students would have an appreciation. You know, the teacher is not sitting up there because they're superior to you, but because the Dharma is so valuable. We stand at the beginning, you know, when the teacher comes in, because we value the teachings. There was one center where I was teaching, and many people were at the teaching, and they used to not tell the students to stand up. And I said, why not? Because they're new people, they're new to the Dharma. I said, but yeah, but even in university, they stand up. Even in school, you stand up out of respect. And I think it's good for us to have respect for the Dharma, and the teacher is just representing the Dharma. We're not revering the teacher, but we are revering the Dharma. And if we have respect for it, we don't put books on the floor, we don't step over books. Otherwise, it starts to become very weird that, well, you're not putting the teacher up, but you're so obsessional about the books on the floor and people stepping over them. So you've got to do everything right in order to have a respectful mind towards the Dharma. It's not the teacher, it's the Dharma, and that's what you put into practice, the Dharma. I think, you know, it's very important. Okay, so we're going to dedicate. This is the last part that we need to put this in place so that we're not going to lose the merit. And we're using Shantideva. And then we go over the page to His Holiness, the Long Life Prayer for all spiritual mentors. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored and finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicine be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain, to dispel the miseries of the world. Gangri rewe kowe jingam dia pendan dewa malu jungwe ne chenre zigwang tenzing yazo yi shape site badu tengyo chi. May the spiritual teachers who lead me on the sacred path and all spiritual friends who practice it have long life. May I pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. Grant such inspiration, I pray. May the lives of the venerable spiritual mentors be stable and their virtuous actions spread in the 10 directions. May the light of Losang's teachings, dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 3 worlds, always increase. Yeah, Lillian.
Wisdom light of true compassion, source of Tara's love maternal, lost and such a perfect
Wisdom light of true compassion, source of Tara's love maternal, Lozang's doctrine perfect holder, we request your life eternal. Teacher, Father, Mother, Guru, we entreat you live forever, guiding all to liberation, perfecting our minds forever. Your always skillful guidance and profound compassionate ways, shining Tara's light eternal, guiding to her Tathagata mind.
Thank you, Lillian dear. So thank you all very much. I hope it wasn't uninteresting. I can't make it interesting as such, but I think it's very valuable, especially the 3 parts, the 6 recognitions, etc., etc. You know, there's some very good information in there that will help you with your studies of the Lam Rim. So I will continue next Sunday, and we'll go on to the actual teachings of the Lam Rim. And I wish you all the best. And I certainly pray and hope that you, your family, your friends will not be affected by the virus. And whoever is affected by the virus, may they not have very serious illness. May they get better very quickly. And all the people on our dedication list, may they receive benefit from this merit and quickly become enlightened in order to serve all sentient beings. So I thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next Sunday. And take care, be well, and Tashi Delay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Tashi delay. Thank you, teacher.
Bye.
Teacher.
Bye.
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 Bye.